Welcome back, PEZ collectors. Today's video is going to be a lot of fun because I have Greg from Australia here joining me. He's also known as the Down Under PEZ Hunter, and he's recently started his own podcast. And if you haven't heard me talking about it here on the channel before, you should check it out. It's the Get Dispensed PEZ Podcast, and I was actually a guest on it. I think I was the third guest on it.
Yes.
So Greg's here with me today. He's going to quiz me on PEZ. I don't know, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about your PEZ Quiz Podcast episode that you recorded.
Sure.
And tell us more about what we're going to do today. Cause
all right. Thanks so much, Erin. And thank you again for coming on the show. It's great having people like yourself supporting it. It's a new podcast. It's the only current PEZ podcast in the world. And I'm just amazed that I'm getting listeners from Liberia. Why? I don't know, but there's PEZ people around the world. I like to call them the PEZ posse around the world. Last episode I just released was a very special one, and it was a PEZ quiz for all those out there, seeing how much you know about PEZ. So what I'm going to do today, Erin, is there are 5 sections in the quiz. I'm going to give you a couple of questions from each section to see how you go. And then if everyone can want to hear more and they want to take the quiz themselves, they can listen to the podcast, grab yourself a pen and a paper and a drink and go through and get your score. The score to beat is 91 from Becky Mathers in Ontario, Canada. So Let's see if we can get someone to beat Becky. So the 5 sections that we've got is PEZ in film and television. Section 2 is who was the leader. Section 3 is hang on, someone's missing. Section 4 is PEZ History 101. And then Section 5 is mixed flavours. It's a bunch of random questions. So if you're ready, we can start to get into it.
Okay.
All right, so first question I'm going to ask is, what PEZ dispenser appeared in the Marvel film Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Hello Kitty.
Yes, correct. All right.
That was an easy one.
Question 2. This one might be a little bit harder. In the Halloween TV special Toy Story of Terror, Kate McKinnon voiced a new character which was a PEZ dispenser. What is the name of the character in the credits?
Terror Cat?
We all call it Terror Cat, but it was known in the credits as PEZ Cat.
Oh, just PEZ Cat, huh?
Just PEZ Cat. And the last one for film and television I'm going to ask you. Yeah. In 2009, a PEZ set was released to celebrate 70 years of what film's release?
Okay, 2009.
Classic film.
70 years. A classic film?
Classic film. There were 300,000 sets released around the world.
Was it Wizard of Oz?
Correct.
That one. I was going to say that one or Star Wars, but that's not 70 years.
No. That was Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
There you go. So you got 2 out of 3. All right. So the next section is called Who Was First. So I'm going to give you 2 PEZ dispensers, and you need to tell me which of these PEZ dispensers was released first. Okay? All right. So first one I'm going to ask is the Elvis tin set or the Kiss tin set. Which one was released first?
Elvis, I'm going to say.
Yes, correct. Elvis was 2007 and Kiss was 2012.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So the next one, we've got Mozart or Mr. Bean. Which PEZ was released first?
Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, correct.
Yeah.
So 2003 and Mozart was 2007. The next one is Bullwinkle or Batman? Which PEZ came first?
Bullwinkle.
Correct. There you go.
Okay.
Perfect.
I thought that was going to be a trick question there.
No. So Bullwinkle was 1963 and Batman was 1966.
Okay, yeah.
So you're sitting at 5 out of 6 so far. So it's a pretty good score. You seem to know your PEZ. So let's get into the next section. So that is, hang on, someone's missing. Now, for this section, I'm going to give you some names of dispensers in a set. You need to tell me who's missing and what is the set's name.
Oh, okay.
All right, so the first one. The first one is Emile, Remy, and Skinner. So Emile, Remy, and Skinner.
It's Ratatouille.
Ratatouille's the set, and who's missing?
Let's see. Wait, say the PEZ names again.
Emile, Remy, Skinner.
Is it the Ratatouille?
No, Remy was the rat.
Remy's the main character?
Yeah.
I don't know then.
Linguini. So he was the one that Remy went under his hat and pulled his hair.
So it was the chef one with the little...
Not the little hat? Chef, the taller chef.
Yeah.
So that was Linguini.
Okay.
So he was missing from that set.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Oh, all right. Well, the next one, this one is, I'm going to give you who's in the set, and then you tell me who's missing and the name of the set. Toothless. So there was 2 PEZ in this set.
It's the guy. Oh my gosh.
What's the set name?
Can I turn around and look?
Yeah, if you want to.
Oh, it's How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, correct.
It's I have the. Well, I guess. Oh, maybe I don't have it back there. Oh no, I do. Look, this is the PEZ.
That's it? But do you know his name?
Finn.
Hiccup.
That's it. Oh, okay. I have a whole box of him behind me. I had to buy like 10 of this one. Yeah. I had a whole box of Hiccup in one of these PEZ counter boxes just to get this from my grocery store.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It all works out. All right. So the last one I'm going to ask you is, we've got Happy Henry, Naughty Neil, and Polly Pumpkin. Who's missing and what's the set?
They're the Halloween ghosts, the Sid.
Yeah. Slimy Sid.
Yeah.
And it's the Halloween glowing ghost. Even though one's a pumpkin.
Okay, glowing ghost.
It's called glowing ghost, but one's a pumpkin. Work that out. That's this PEZ for you.
Sometimes they're crystal, which I'm looking for the crystal ghost. I just looked on eBay this afternoon for it.
Oh, wow. Any luck?
Yeah. No. Well, there's some on there, but I was hoping just to get like a set and not have to buy them like one at a time. So that's why I was kind of holding out for that, but.
Okay. All right. So the next section we're going to talk about is PEZ History 101. So this is where we're going to know about PEZ and check a few things. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what is the name of the part located on the back of a PEZ dispenser head that pushes the candy when the head is tilted back? What is the name of that part?
The kicker?
Correct. Yep, it's the kicker.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's not that hard.
Where's my PEZ? It's the little piece right there.
That's it. That's the
pushes
kicker.
Your candy out.
Yeah. All right. Now here's one for you. How many PEZ bricks are there in the PEZ logo?
Oh, I don't know. I saw that on Facebook like a while back. Let me guess. Let's see. I don't know. 52.
44.
44.
So you got 14 bricks in
Yeah.
the P and then 15 each in the E and the Z.
Okay. Yeah. That's a fun one. That's a good question.
Okay, and last one, true or false, chlorophyll used to be a flavour.
Yes.
True. Yep. And can you name another
true.
couple of strange flavours that are discontinued?
Strange.
Licorice and coffee.
Oh, yeah. I guess yeah. Man, they should make coffee flavor again. I don't think I knew that they had coffee before.
And the last
I want them
section
to bring back
is,
lime.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm a big lime fan myself, so I'd be happy with that. Because I don't really eat the candies.
I don't eat them.
No. We're both boycotting until lime comes back.
So that's a good idea.
All right, so the last section I'm going to ask you 3 questions from is mixed flavours. So these are just random questions. So the first one, how many pounds of pressure is needed to mould the sugar into a PEZ candy?
4 pounds.
A little bit off, 3,000 pounds. We got 3,000 pounds
I knew it was
of pressure
something
for each candy.
crazy. Okay.
It is very crazy.
That's a lot. For one little brick?
Yes. To compress everything into that brick is 3,000 pounds.
Wow.
All right. Now, released in 1995, PEZ Core was the debut album for what American band? They have PEZ on their
Less
album
Than
covers.
Jake?
Their mascot's a PEZ dispenser, or a guy holding
Less
a PEZ
Than-
dispenser. What is the band?
Less Than Jake.
Correct.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good one. And the last one is I'm going to ask is the first emoticon set, which included cheeky, grumpy, happy, lovey and naughty, and slick, was an exclusive release in 2014 in which country?
France?
The first emoticons, special release in which country? And just have a think, why would I be asking that question?
Australia.
Correct. And if you, one of our episodes, we had Steve Natsis from Universal Candy, who's the Australian importer, and that set was his idea. He was responsible for it.
That's cool.
So, yes, that's just a sample of the questions. There's obviously more questions to listen to in the podcast. We hope everyone will have a listen and see how they go all up. And drop me a line, let me know. Let Erin know how you went.
Yeah, especially if you answered all the ones I missed.
Make
sure you comment down below and be like, ha ha ha, Erin, I got these.
Yeah. So 91's that score. Who can beat 91?
That's crazy.
It's got to be someone else.
Okay, now I'm gonna go and I want to listen to them, and I'll keep track of my score. I'll have to share that with you.
Definitely.
That was really fun. I think I was pretty nervous about doing this because I was like, am I gonna know these? But I don't feel too bad about not knowing the ones that I missed because I don't. Those are like the pounds of candy and then like the PEZ candies in the PEZ logo.
Yeah.
But that's some specific hardcore knowledge right there.
Well, it's designed to work out who knows their PEZ and who doesn't.
Yeah,
but it's all fun at the end of the
fun.
day because if you don't know the answer, you'll get the answer and you'll learn.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for quizzing me. That was a lot of fun. And while you are here, Greg, do you want to tell us a little bit more about your podcast? Anything else you want to say about it, or
Yeah, sure.
any guest that maybe you can give us like a little sneak peek of some guests that are going to be on? Or
Yeah, definitely. So look, at the PEZ podcast, like I said, it was something that I was looking to do. We had the old PEZ Collector podcast with Andrew and Justin that finished a few years ago, and there wasn't anything else. And they were very gracious to come on as my first guest. So that was like a reunion show and passing of the torch, or passing of the microphone, you could say. But look, we've had people like Sean Peterson. We've had yourself. I mentioned we had Steve Natsis from Universal Candy. So that was a whole look at PEZ from a different angle, because it was from the importer side, not a collector side. But for us in Australia, we need to rely on the importer to get the PEZ, because we can't buy from the PEZ US side or the European PEZ side. So all those special releases that come out, we can't get. So if we don't have an importer, we're not getting any PEZ in here in the country. So that was a good one. Also spoke to Aaron LeMay. So he's a former PEZ Head of the Year, and he's written a few books. We found out a very interesting fact about why he has foghorn leghorn and porky pig tattooed on his feet.
Oh,
so that's a little, you'll listen to that and you'll hear it, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, hang on, yeah, I understand that. But that was a nice little interesting one. Upcoming, we've got Jason Heinberg, we've got Terence Lynn. I'm recording with Phyllis Schaefer from LA. I did a recording with an artist by the name of Sylvain Prevost from Canada, who paints a lot of PEZ in his pictures. He's a pop art artist.
Oh.
And he does that. So that's an interesting one, finding out about how he got involved, becoming an artist, and his link there to PEZ, which he wants to do more. He's going to be doing a whole PEZ series. So that'll be something for people to look out about. And I think he's done some work as well on skateboards, which is a lot easier to ship around than a big picture of 3 foot by 2 foot. You can get a skateboard painted by him for PEZ. That's good. And I'm doing a very special recording the end of this week with a guy by the name of Chris Marshall. Now, the name mightn't ring a bell, but before the PEZ Outlaw, there was a documentary in 2006 called PEZ Heads, the movie.
Yeah, on DVD.
Yeah, Chris is the director.
Oh, okay.
So we're having a big chat about how that all came about, and then how did PEZ influence his career. And he's gone on to win Emmy Awards and such. So it all started with PEZ. So that's going to be an interesting conversation as well.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited for this. I mean, I talked to the collectors online. Like you said, a lot of the names, I know who they are. Get to know them a little bit better, and, hear some stuff maybe about, their collections I might not know. I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah. I think if you can get one little bit of knowledge out of every podcast, you're doing well in life, because you never know everything. You've got to learn something new every day. And if I can supply that through my podcast, I think I'm very happy.
It's exciting. So how many are you do you release it every week? Like,
yes.
Will you have one every week for the rest of the year? And then?
Yeah, that's the plan. They come out on my Thursday morning, which in the US is like Wednesday evening. We release one a week. And this quiz one, which again is a special episode, that came out. It's not within the normal cycle. It was just a special episode. And we'll get those coming across too. Looking at different things, I know that your husband, Greg, he's going to be coming on in a special enabler podcast where we're talking to not just the PEZ collectors, we're talking to their partners and what their feelings are about PEZ collecting. So this is where we're trying to open it up to as many different types of people out there that all have that link back into PEZ.
What if someone's watching us and they're like, I want to be on Get Dispensed?
Reach out to me.
How can they reach you?
Yeah, look, you can send me an email to Get Dispensed the podcast at outlook.com, or you can go on Facebook and find Get Dispensed the PEZ Podcast page and send me a message. But I'd love to have someone out there wants to come on. It'll be great.
Okay, real quick, because your podcast is like a Q&A. So I'm going to quiz you like a couple questions and then we'll end this. Greg, how long have you been collecting?
I've been collecting PEZ since about 2012, and it was something I was looking to do with my daughter. So we could find something that was fairly cheap, collect together, and then unfortunately I was hit with the PEZ collecting bug more than she did. And now, as you could probably see from my background, I'm in the PEZ car studio, which is also a PEZ room.
Nice. Does she collect PEZ still?
She helps me with my PEZ. So she's
PEZ?
Always looking out and saying, oh, I found a new one, or I can ask her, do we have this one? And she knows where everything is in the room. She can find them all. So it's still something we do together, which is good, seeing she's 21 now, but she's still helping Dad, and we're doing something together.
Yeah, that's really fun. PEZ collectors are like family.
Yes.
You know, it's something you can do together, talk about. It brings us together.
It is.
So how many PEZ are in your collection then?
Now, I could probably say two responses here. One is what I tell my wife is I still need more. And the second one is probably
Always.
There's a few thousand in there. So I'm probably looking at probably about 2,000, but it's not like a world record type of collection where they're all different. I might have three of the same one because I'll like one from each country that made it and different things like that. I'm one of those, or if it's the same dispenser but it's got a different coloured stem, I need to get the two of those.
So do you collect mostly like current PEZ or more modern PEZ, or are you more into the vintage PEZ and their variations?
Yeah, look, it's more the modern. In Australia, it's very, very hard to find PEZ like the older ones. But look, I had Sean Peterson, who obviously runs the PEZ Visitor Centre, and he's written countless books. He's probably the world's biggest PEZ historian out there. He gave me some information about PEZ collecting in Australia, which I didn't know, that we first started getting them in 1962.
Okay.
So they've been around since before I was born. So we've had PEZ coming in. It's also interesting that obviously when you find people selling them, they're selling the new ones. It's the usual thing. They say, oh, I've got this vintage one because it's from 2005. We know that's not vintage. But I had a really strange conversation there a few years ago where I got contacted by a guy who said, oh, is this PEZ dispenser machine valuable? And it was a PEZ dispenser machine that was on like a pallet that was probably 6 foot tall, and it was wrapped in plastic. And it was there, and you could see it through the clear plastic. So I was sort of making some inquiries about it, and he said, oh, yeah, I saw it at an auction site, and I don't know whether I'm going to bid or not. And I was like, oh, well, here's what it is. Here's some details about it. And then I ended up contacting the auction people, and it was a little country town out the back of Western Australia, about 2 hours out of Perth. So Perth is the world's most isolated city, and this place is 2 hours out of that. So we're talking tiny. And the auction was a farm auction. So they were auctioning fencing, tractors, shovels. And then all of a sudden in that, they had this pallet of PEZ. And I said to them, I said, well, can I bid on it? And they're going, oh, we don't do phone bids. You've got to be here to do it. And this was on the Thursday for an auction on the Saturday. And they said, oh, and it's got to be taken Saturday afternoon. So just practicality. I'm in Brisbane, other side of the country. I couldn't get a flight to get to Perth and then hire a car and get to this little town. And then if you got a car and I got a whole pallet load of stuff, I need really to hire a truck. And then how do I get that truckload of stuff back to Brisbane? Logistics didn't work for me. So I just sort of let it go. And then on the Sunday, I got contacted by a gentleman saying, oh, I've just got it. This PEZ I've got at an auction. And I was like, oh, was that the farm auction? And I was like, yeah. So he got it, and he got it for a few $100s. Like it wasn't that much. Now, when I said he had the PEZ dispensing machine, there were 5 of them. And then the tubs that made the middle of the pallet were filled with vintage PEZ. So we're talking 10 Peter Pans. We're talking 6 Tinkerbells. We've got 5 Mary Poppins. We had this huge collection of vintage PEZ. And I'm just there just sort of going, what in the world? One, how did it end up at a farm auction in a little country town outside of Perth? And then 2, who was this person that had this fabulous PEZ collection? And so as much as I can work out, it was someone was a big collector. They passed away. They left their PEZ in their will to a family member who didn't really know about PEZ and just put it up at an auction and got a couple of $100 for it.
What? That's amazing. Like, did that person who bought it, they contacted you? Did they end up like selling it, or they keep it for themselves, or what did they do with it?
To the big PEZ collectors, big PEZ dealers in the US, which I put them in contact with, and sort of said, need to do this. Like there was a Peter Pan there that had blonde hair that I went to Sean Peterson about and said, because I'd never seen a Peter Pan with blonde hair, and he was like, it looks like it's faded, but the rest of the dispenser's not faded. And then come back and said, well, yeah, it's legitimate. So someone had this fantastic collection and someone just didn't value it whatsoever. And I think this person had made a lot of money, and they are coming to the Australian PEZ Gathering, which is in September in Perth, Western Australia, the world's most remote gathering. And they're going to come along to that day as well. So I'll be actually to meet them up in person and have a chat and find out what did you do with everything.
All these years later.
All these years later, what have you got left? Do you still want to get rid of stuff?
Yeah, are they still selling pieces from that collection?
Not sure. So hopefully I'll find out. I wonder
if I have any in my collection.
Yeah. But how random is that? In the middle of outback Australia. This is the place that lost the Emu Wars. The Australian Army lost a fight against birds. But there's this huge PEZ collection that's available.
I always think, like, if you've been collecting, like some people might have just collected them, as they were being released. And then, as they get older, they just have a huge collection.
Yeah. And could have been that.
Maybe they bought a few here and there and then.
But to have the machines and everything, that's a huge collection. That would have taken a lot to get put together.
Or maybe they didn't always live in Australia. Maybe they were,
right.
They moved from Australia to retire or something. I don't know.
Well, I think
they got a job in Australia.
The first PEZ he sold paid for what he paid at the auction. And we're talking a 6-foot pallet of stuff.
That's crazy. Are you going to have that guy on as a guest?
If I can, I'll try and get him on and just talk about it, because it was an absolute amazing story.
Yeah. A crazy PEZ find episode.
It's got to be the world's craziest PEZ find. We're going to have some Australian collectors on the podcast, obviously. You'll love this one. So the PEZ shooter, the little gun that shoots the candy. They're what? They're red. They're plastic. It's in the shape of a gun, but you can tell it's a toy.
Yeah.
He bought one from overseas, and it got stopped in Australian customs, and he was requested, because it's a gun, he needed to get a firearm license for it.
Oh.
So he contacted the state licensing board for firearms and told them about it. And then 5 minutes later, after they stopped laughing, they issued him with a license so he could get his candy shooter into his collection.
What?
So he's probably the world's only person that has an official gun license issued by a government to own a PEZ candy license. That's how we roll in Australia. We've got those interesting stories there.
Yeah. It looks more like a water gun or like a space gun or whatever than like a real one.
Yes. That's just like I bought one back in I bought one when I went to PEZmania. Sorry, I was actually given one when I went to PEZmania by Paddy Thomas. And I brought that back through customs at the airport, and they just wondered why I had 3 cases of PEZ. They're going, are you going to sell them? And I said, no, they're from my collection. And they go, where have you been? And I said, well, I've been around America and to Canada, and I went to PEZmania. And they said, what is PEZmania? And I said, well, it's the world's largest collection of PEZ collectors, the world's largest event. And I looked at my wife and they said, is he serious? And she said, unfortunately, yes. And they said, oh, okay then, let's go. So we left with 3 suitcases and come back with 7. So.
What? That's awesome. That's crazy. I have flown with PEZ before, but I never got stopped. And I always think, like, when I put my suitcase up on the thing to take, for them to take it, no one ever says anything, or nothing ever comes about it. I always think that's funny. At airport, people probably see all kinds of crazy stuff in people's suitcases.
Yes,
but probably not so much PEZ, especially 7 or almost 7 suitcases. I'm sure some of those were your clothes. Like half of a small one were your clothes, right? And then
well, for me, yes. But we'd been to America for about 5 weeks. So we'd been to Disney World for a week. We'd been to New York. We'd been up to Canada. Started in San Francisco.
Wow.
So we'd been around. It was a huge trip, and it was a funny trip because on our second day, we're in San Francisco. We caught up with some PEZ collecting people. We went down to the tourist wharf, and I'm in the store looking for PEZ with the guys, and my daughter come running and she said, oh, Mum's fallen over. So I went out and checked my wife, and someone was trying to steal a camera and pushed her over.
What?
And she broke her wrist.
No.
So we had to go to the hospital, which I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, I hear all these stories about American hospitals and the cost and everything like that. We had travel insurance, which was really, really good. But in the end, they were really good and they were really helpful. And they sort of said, look, you need to come back and see a specialist tomorrow, but you're right to go. And I literally said, but where am I? I have no idea where I am. I'm in a hospital in San Francisco. But we were staying with family, so I rang them and they worked out where it was. They come picked us up. We went back the next day and saw the specialist, and he had a look and he said, oh, yeah, it's definitely broken. I really suggest you fly home. And Karen had said, but I've been planning this trip for 12 months. It's day 2. I am spending my birthday in New York. We're not going home. And he said, oh, well, okay, let me try and put it back into place. So he literally tied her fingers to an IV stand and then yanked her wrist back into place, and it was perfect. But he was really good. He gave us his friends who were contacts in every town that we went. So if we had any trouble, we could contact them. But we ended up traveling with a broken wrist, and I think I was getting over a broken foot at the time. So we were a great-looking pair, and then my daughter, she was like the responsible one to get us through everywhere.
Oh, my gosh. Did it hurt? Like, was she in pain the whole time?
He put it back really, really well. Like, it was sore, but it wasn't pain that stopped doing anything. We still did everything. I think the only thing she couldn't do was go on the lazy rivers at Disney World because she needed to keep the plaster dry because they put it in plaster. And then when we got,
so they like set it.
And travelled around with it. And then when we got home, went and saw our doctor, and they said, it's perfect. There's nothing we can do.
That's crazy. Like, yeah, what's the odds of something like that happening?
And then she's actually got on the video, because she was taking a picture of the seals, and you can see she must have hit video for some reason, but you can see the camera going up over the back of her head, and you can hear someone saying, give me the camera.
What? Like, what are they going to get out of that camera? Like,
yeah.
Did you get to go to the Burlingame PEZ Museum when you were in San Francisco?
We didn't go that trip. We'd been the trip before.
Mm.
So I had been there, yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've never been, but I've seen pictures.
Yeah, well,
Wish it was
unfortunately,
still around.
It's not there anymore.
Mm-mm.
So, but that'd be interesting to see what happened with all those PEZ from that collection.
Oh. Do you know, maybe you can get that person on the podcast.
Yeah. We had a big PEZ collector here. He was based down in Victoria, and I can't think of his name top of my tongue, but he was an older gentleman who'd been collecting for years and years and years. And then when he passed away, no one knows what happened to his PEZ collection. It would have been huge. Now,
what?
It wasn't the WA one because he was still alive when that sold. So, but that's a huge PEZ collection that's out there that we just sort of hope if someone's got it, they're looking after it because it was one of the greats. Trevor Wright was the collector. But I've tried to contact his family with no luck just to find out because you don't want to think in the back of your mind that someone has gone through and seen that and just thought, oh, this is probably not worth anything. We'll just throw it out.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Well, that'll happen all around the world. There'll be people like that. Mm-hmm. And unless someone knows about PEZ, they think, oh, it's just little pieces of plastic. It's not worth anything. But you can have something that doesn't physically cost much, but is worth a lot to someone. Because that might be that one they're looking for to finish a set. Or it might be that one character that they really want to relate back and bring those memories of growing up with. So one man's junk is really another man's treasure.
Yeah. That's crazy. I always like looking on eBay for like vintage PEZ to buy because I look at the seller and I'm like, okay, this person definitely just like either goes to estate sales or garage sales or just buys, or maybe they run the sales or whatever, but they're not PEZ collectors. So it's crazy to me sometimes. I'm like, wow, like they must have found that in someone's house and, you know, maybe the person's not there anymore. Maybe they're selling, you know, for somebody or whatever. But
yeah,
and it's always amazes me what actually surfaces from like people selling stuff online that aren't actual PEZ collectors.
Yeah, and you find that you can usually tell that too because they'll be the ones that want $70 for a Darth Vader PEZ.
Oh.
Because it's vintage because it's from Star Wars. It's 1977. Well,
it is vintage.
No, Star Wars wasn't released in PEZ until whenever. It's got feet. It's not a vintage PEZ, but they seem to think that you're trying to bluff them, if that makes sense. That, no, they know it's vintage. It's worth a lot of money. Well, a lot of these things aren't worth a lot of money, and people are banking in their mind they're making thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's just not there. Like some of them are 50 cents. You just got to be realistic. Yeah. We love going to we call them op shops here, opportunity shops in Australia. And they're where people donate clothes and furniture and all that. I'm not sure what you call them over there in America.
Just like a thrift store?
Yeah, like a thrift store. So Rebecca, my daughter and I, that's what we usually do on a weekend is we'll go hit a couple of thrift stores around the place. Usually stop for a Bunnings sausage sizzle, which is an Australian tradition, which probably has completely confused you. It's a hardware store that sells a sausage and a piece of bread. But
we have that. It's a Home Depot.
And makes money. So you're helping a charity out by buying a sausage and a piece of bread. Not the most exciting thing, but it's the biggest Australian tradition that you can have. So we'll go around and we looked in one store and they had one of the giant Buzz Lightyear PEZ. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, it just doesn't look right. And they wanted like $20 for this thing. And I'm thinking, I don't know. And I looked and the feet were taken off it. All the giant PEZ, if you look, they've got feet on them. And someone had ripped it off. So when you turned it upside down, you could see the glue marks on it. And I said to the people running the store, I said, you know, this is damaged and it's broken. And they said, oh, yeah, but I heard PEZ with no feet's worth a lot more money.
What? Oh my gosh. Okay. Did you just walk away or did you?
Yeah. I just turned, walked away, and my wife goes, you didn't need to tell them that. You could have just said, no, thank you. No, I'm the PEZ person. I've got to tell them.
Well, you in your mind, you're thinking, okay, they don't realize it's broke.
Yeah.
Like, they probably just don't know. Yeah.
That's it. Because they look up and see, oh, the PEZ with no feet, they're worth a lot of money. Well, yes and no. You've got to understand which PEZ with no feet are worth money.
Oh, my gosh. And you're full of some fun PEZ stories, that's for sure.
I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of people. And you got to have a hobby in life. Mm-hmm. And PEZ is it.
That's
and
for sure.
PEZ has given me enjoyment. It has given me fun. It keeps me active. Now I've got the PEZ, put my teeth back in. I've got the PEZ podcast. I can go. But the biggest thing out of it is not the actual candy dispensers. It's the memories of where you got it from. And it's the people that you meet. People like yourself, which in one way, we're all a family. The PEZ posse, we're a family. And you can tell a genuine PEZ person because they will look out for you. I've never had a bad dealing from someone that's a part of a lot of groups and such that you know that are PEZ people. I have been burned on deals in the past, and I've had people tell me they've been burned from Australian people. But when you talk to them, it's all of a sudden they come into a PEZ group and they try and sell stuff within like the first couple of days. And you have a look on their Facebook page, there's nothing mentioned about PEZ whatsoever. So you feel a bit off about that. I literally say, well, what were you trying to get? And if I've got a spare of that, I'll send it to them. Because we are isolated here in Australia, we don't want to be getting that bad mouthing out there that, Australian people are bad to deal with. Because what I've seen since I've started is there's more people that are not prepared to send stuff to other countries than what it is in the past. So this is where you want to try and get in and talk to them, because people in Australia understand, okay, there's going to be postage cost on it. And the postage is probably a lot, where someone might say, oh, it's not worth it. But to that collector who needs that piece or wants that piece, they'll pay the postage. Like, they're not asking for free postage. They'll pay it. We just need that person over there in another country just to go, well, yep, okay, we'll do that. We'll do it for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely worth paying a little bit of postage for extra, I should say, because it's going to cost more.
Can you imagine if you had a set of 4 and you're missing one and you've been looking for years and years around and you can't find it, and then all of a sudden you find it and it's someone in America, and then you find that they're not going to post it to Australia. You just feel so frustrated.
One last question for you, Greg. How do you get most of your PEZ if you are in Australia? You can't buy from PEZ International. You can't buy from PEZ USA. What's your main place that you buy PEZ besides their stores?
Yeah. Well, look, the main thing for us, for PEZ that are in stores, we get them imported via Universal Candy. So it's strange. We get European releases, but we don't get all European releases. So there's a thing about licensing. So for a character to be sold in a country, it needs to be licensed in that country. So for an example, if we look at, they had the Money Heist PEZ, they were in Europe. We never got them in Australia because Money Heist wasn't licensed in Australia. So we couldn't get that. So we then look at, for me, I'm very lucky. I've got people that help me out. So Terence Lynn, when he buys a new limited releases. He gets one for me as well, and then he sends them through to me. Now, sending them to me, to be honest, I get them loose rather than on card because you can fit more PEZ in the box at less weight. It's interesting, the card with the candies weighs nearly as much as the dispenser itself.
Yeah, it adds up.
You're cutting the weight in half, and that way you can get more coming down. But again, carded ones, I'm looking around my room now. I don't think I've got space for carded ones. I can make space. I've got space for loose ones. So loose is fine for me. So it's relying on people like that. And then in Europe, it's the same type of thing. It's a matter of trying to find someone over there that can help you out and send you stuff. We send back like to the American people. We'll send what we get, which is great because we're on a short card over here. So not the longer European cards. Ours is a shorter card.
Oh, yeah.
With the 2 pairs on the side. So it's a bit different, the packaging. So if you've got people that are interested in packaging, they like to do that. But then usually top it up with Tim Tams and lollies. So Tim Tam biscuits, Australian classics, and then our lollies, which we don't make our lollies with corn syrup like you do in America. We make them out of sugar cane. So they taste completely different. And I've never met an American that doesn't like them. So we try and even it up with, you send the PEZ, we'll even it up with.
Yeah, I need to mention that if you are an OG Erin Collects PEZ watcher, if you go way back to like my first year making Erin Collects PEZ videos, not too long after I started, Greg reached out to me all the way from Australia going, hey, I want to send you a box of PEZ and some other fun Australian goodies. And of course, I couldn't say no. So he sent me a big box and I unboxed it here. There's a video here on the channel. I can link it down below in the description. But you sent me Tim Tams and I think you sent me like some Smarties and like was it a big Turk in there, I think? Was that from you? And then a bunch of PEZ on the short cards. And I have all those hanging up on my PEZ rack down in my main area. I always appreciate that. I think that was a lot of fun. And other like Australian goodies, like he sent me like some keychains and I got them all in my office still.
Oh, good.
Oh, and this, which I really appreciate. The Australian PEZ Gathering Panda PEZ. This is like one of the 2 that I have that are open. So like whenever I'm making a video, I'm always like this one because it's Australian. So you know, if you guys watch my videos a lot, you've seen this on the channel quite often because it's one of the only ones that are actually open. That's an interesting story,
that one as well, because when we had our gathering, which was around April, PEZ had put out and said to hosts around the world, not the American ones, but the rest of the world, and said, if you want to have some special dispensers, we'll make them up for you. So we did that. But then the timing was they weren't due to come in till like June or July, but our gathering was in April. So they organised to get them straight from the factory. Now, because they come from the factory, they weren't on card and they didn't have candies with them. So they come through with just in like this. Yeah. So we couldn't get that. So we got them direct from the factory. So if you ever see one of those Australian pandas that's on card, question it because they never came on card.
I've never seen one on a card. Have you ever seen one on a card?
I've had people mention it to me that they think they've seen one on card. I haven't myself, but that's a way to test it. And they come through on this big plastic roll sheet that was double-sided with little slots to fit one PEZ dispenser in either side, and then folded over and rolled up in a box.
Oh, wow.
So it was the strangest packaging you've seen. I'm just trying to think. Yeah. Oh, it's in one of my boxes I've got over here. But it's a great thing because if you've got a lot of PEZ you want to transport, You can just put them into this sheet one at a time, fold it over, and they're nice and safe.
That's cool. So I always appreciate, I think maybe you saw me talking about these and you reached out to me or something because of that, maybe? I can't remember now. But
well, you
I always appreciate
like the pandas and you didn't have that one. So I had to do the responsible thing and help you out.
Yeah.
That's what we do in Australia. We help each other out.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Because these are pretty hard to get. Like, I would have to go on Facebook and message the host and be like, hey, can I buy one of your gathering Panda PEZ? And everybody that had a gathering sold me one. Or a couple of them I bought, like, after, from other collectors, I think. Or maybe on eBay, I can't remember now. But this Finn PEZ one, the guys, I think they're two brothers that run the Finland PEZ Gathering. I reached out to them and they're like, nope, we can't sell you one. They wouldn't ship it. They wouldn't ship it to me.
Yeah.
So I had to have, so Ronica, from Sweden.
Yep. She's going to be an upcoming guest.
Oh, okay. That's going to be a good one. I'm always going to listen, but that's a really good one. She helps me get all my PEZ International PEZ.
Yeah.
But she was at, I think her Sweden PEZ Gathering. And I saw this on someone's table in a picture. Because, they would post pictures during the gathering or whatever. And I was like, Ronica, can you get me that? And she went over there and bought it. And I was able to get it because of her. Because I was like, that's amazing. So that's a PEZ collector, right there. During the PEZ gathering, she went over there and bought it for me.
That's the true meaning of the PEZ posse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, but these pandas are a lot of fun to collect.
And
since I like pandas,
each of the hosts, you could pick how many that you wanted. So some of them got 100 odd, whatever. I think the Australian one was the lowest, which we've always been, because obviously our gatherings aren't as big as others. And I think that was the minimum number, which was 70. So there's only 70 of those in the world.
Oh, wow. It's awesome. I like that. This has to be one of the, is this the last PEZ that PEZ and the gathering or the conventions collaborated on?
Yes. Yeah.
Huh.
So look, it's a question I ask every year. I have a really good relationship with PEZ International in Austria. They're very helpful. And they know if they get questions about PEZ in Australia, they'll pass it on to me. So it's a good two-way street there. And it's my yearly thing is, will you be doing dispensers this year? So unfortunately, they're not doing this year. So I'm trying to work out how to get a special dispenser for September in Perth. But it's very hard to find 40 to 50 of the same PEZ here in Australia. Because if you go to a shop, they might have a total of 10 PEZ all up, and they'll be all mixtures. So to try and get 40 or 50 of them together is near on impossible. So I'm trying to work out how we can do that.
Does PEZ ever tell you why they don't make new PEZ for the conventions and gatherings anymore? Or
they did it every couple of years. So so we're coming up to the 6th gathering, and 3 of the 5 gatherings have been with official PEZ. So the first one was an emoticon. The second one was a laughing emoticon. And then we had the panda. And in between, I got some pucks from the visitor centre and then got a sticker made up and put on those. And then I got some trucks from the visitor centre and stickers on the trucks. So they're the 5. So there's 2 on card, there's a puck, a truck, and then a loose panda. And then we'll see what happens this year. The universe is going to help me out, Erin.
But PEZ never gives you any insight on why they don't make new ones every year.
And you got to be respectful with them as well. If that's their decision, that's their decision. They're not going to change anything for some strange guy in Australia. So
well, I Yeah.
Just be grateful that we got 3. And if 3's only all we ever get, that's still 3 more that are official PEZ that are out there. So,
well, I always wonder if it's PEZ that's like, we're not going to make small runs for you guys, or if it's just the people who run the conventions and gatherings just don't ask for them. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what end.
It could be a mixture. It really could be a mixture, because I know there's a lot of gatherings that happen that don't seem to be going on again. So maybe that's it. Maybe it is the number of gatherings is dropping down. It could be.
And then these were so hard to get even because, like, the pandemic happened and you guys didn't have the gatherings for a while after even. Yeah. Was it like a couple years even?
Yeah.
That these were still being released.
The gathering was online because we were sort of locked down in COVID and such, and we couldn't get together. So we tried to do it online. And those that come online, they got given one. I sent them to them. And then we sort of sold some of the other ones to help out some people. So, yeah. And then I had some spares that I could send to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe someday I'll get to go to some gatherings around the world because there's a lot of them. And they don't always happen every year, but,
no.
Sometimes I'm like, that'd be kind of cool to go to this place or, after collecting all these. Like, before I collected these, I knew there was a lot of gatherings, but I didn't realize how many.
There were.
I think there's is there 16 of these that exist? Mm-hmm. Or 15 maybe? But, I mean, that's a lot of gatherings, like, you don't think of. Because, like, when you're here in the United States, PEZmania in Cleveland, like Michigan, and now there's the Austin one. Yeah, PEZ on the River up north. And sometimes there's the East Coast one up at the PEZ Visitor Center, but like
the big California one's not there anymore. So was that PEZ Pacific? That doesn't go anymore.
Yeah, PEZ. Yeah,
I don't think they're doing the one in Washington anymore.
Well, Bob and
Faye.
Yeah, they did one for a couple years, but then I don't think they're not doing it this year. So maybe I don't know if they will pick it back up or not. But
then you've got ones like the Austin one, so the ATEX.
Yeah, and we're actually going to that.
Kansas City coming up.
That's new. That's going to be in May, I think.
So we're going to have episodes about those. We're talking to them. Yeah. We're just working out whether it's going to be a pre-event or a post-event wrap-up.
Okay.
But
yeah, we're going to the Austin.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of people going to Austin.
Weeks. Yeah, Austin is a city that we both like, so we're actually going there for like vacation and for the PEZ gathering. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. Should be fun. It's always fun getting together with PEZ people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be some different people I probably maybe don't know because, like most people go to PEZmania, but the Austin PEZ gathering is going to be a lot smaller, but I'm sure there'll be some people from, around there that might not go up northeast to Cleveland that, will probably meet some different people, which would be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah. I just wish I had millions and millions of dollars and I could go to all of them as well, but unfortunately, the PEZ gods haven't blessed me with that so far.
Especially you coming from Australia, that's going to be expensive to.
Well, apparently, I was the first Australian to go to PEZmania. So, there we go. Tick that off the bucket list. I knew someone who went to Pacific. It was a guy that lived in my town, and he's actually moved to Japan now. So, but he said he went there. And I've been to Jessica and Juan's Christmas gathering. I went to that. That's where I met a lot of people first time. But I'm not sure whether that's still going either.
I think she ended it like a year or two ago, it seems like, I think.
But always go. I always recommend to anyone, if you can get there and you're a PEZ collector, no matter what the gathering is, go. You will meet people that will help you out. That's where you might meet your next contact. Or someone that if something comes out specifically in a certain place, they can help you out. Like things like, what's that one? Wawa trucks? They're only in certain areas, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you need to have someone. You could be living in the same country, but if you're not near a Wawa, you're not going to be able to get a Wawa truck.
Yeah, we don't have Wawas here. I've been sent Wawa trucks, and I've had to buy my own Wawa trucks before. So.
Yeah. But you got to rely on someone else to get it. So that's it. You meet someone at a gathering, that could be your contact.
Yeah, that's for sure.
PEZ Fuchsia says, make friends, not enemies. PEZ is good.
Yeah. I like that. Anything else you want to add before we end this?
No, just like I said, thanks again for having me on and thanks for coming on my show. If there's ever anything you need from me, whatever, just reach out.
Maybe someday you'll have a limited edition release for Australia only. And I'll be like, great, I need that.
Well, if you listen to our podcast with the guy from Universal Candy, we did talk about limited Australian releases and how they help Australian collectors. And he did not say that there are not going to be any more of them coming. So that could be.
Wait. So has there been
responsible for? You see the box sets.
Oh yeah.
That was his idea. So that's why if you look at a lot of them, you look at the artwork on there, you're thinking the artwork's probably not the highest quality and things like that. They pretty much did it in their office, did their own graphic design, and then printed because they had like an overflow of PEZ that they couldn't sell. So they put them in the boxes. Now, he was interested because I said to him about there's all these collectors around the world want to get the boxes. And he was like, but they'll just designed to be opened up and thrown away just to get the PEZ out. And I said, well, no, a PEZ collector would not open the box. They would keep them. And I said to him at the time, there was an auction going on, and I think it was up to like $75 for one, and told him, and he was like, what? And I go, yeah, other than Barky Browns, which is an Australian PEZ, but because of licensing, it can't be sold in Australia. The other thing I get asked for are the box sets. They're the two big things I'm asked for.
Wait, roll back. You can't
step back.
You can't sell Barky Browns in Australia?
Correct.
Why?
That was part of the agreement because the lady that did it, which hopefully will be another guest to we can get fully into the whole story, but
that would be cool.
She worked for a charity and she was selling these PEZ to raise money for the charity. It was a dog shelter, I think it was, animal welfare. So she
that's it.
She went to PEZ and got them made, but because she wasn't the official licensed importer of PEZ into Australia, she could get them made, but she can't legally sell them in Australia.
What?
So then she gets them, and then she sends them over, and she's got sellers in the US and Canada, I think, who sell them for her. Because everyone keeps asking, oh, can you get me this Barky Brown? Okay. I think I have 2 Barky Browns that were given to me at PEZomania because no one could believe I didn't have any. Because you just can't buy them. Can't buy them here.
So why doesn't she work with the Australian distribution company to sell them?
I'm not sure. But she had to buy
she just can't.
A certain amount at that time. So that's why they sort of get drip fed out, if that makes sense. So that's where I want to try and understand more about the whole situation. But
yeah, and she still makes, like, they're still being made. Like, there's still new ones every year.
She's got them all. She's got like a shed full of these PEZ that she just releases so many every now and again.
Wow. That's a cool fun fact I didn't know. So
yeah,
I like that.
So it's an Australian PEZ, but just can't be sold in Australia. It's probably the most common Australian PEZ people would recognise.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other Australian releases that you guys only got there that?
Yeah. There's a couple. The Bratz dolls. You had Sasha with the yellow eyes.
Oh, I think you sent me that one.
I think I sent you that one. That's an Australian only release.
Yeah.
We had a two-tone Batman. It was like a, see if I can see.
Oh, yes.
He had like a black cow and a blue stem.
Mm-hmm.
That was Australian only release. And then, of course, the emoticons. That first emoticon set was Australian only release.
I honestly don't know if I have those. They don't look like funky faces. They look like newer. I don't think I have those in the collection. A whole box. Yeah, I do not have those.
On a black card.
I see them come up.
So they're on a black card. The others that come out later weren't on a black card. There's 6 in the set.
Can you hold them up? Show and tell time. There you go.
That's 1, 2.
Nice. I see them come up for sale every once in a while, and I'm always like, I do not have these. That one's cute. Yeah. Because they're more like cartoony. Oh my gosh, that one's cool. The glasses. They're more cartoony than like the PEZ International emojis.
Yeah.
Or even the emojis that we have here.
Well, if I ever find some, I'll look out for you.
Yeah, I'll for sure be interested in buying them. I don't think I ever realized that they were just Australian releases, so that's cool.
And it was just after I started collecting, so that got me in contact with a lot of PEZ collectors. Like I literally would go to the Australian my distributor locally and find out what store has them, who have you sent them to, and we would spend weekends going, because you could buy a box, and a box had each of the 6 in it. So one box had a full set. You didn't have to sort of worry about you're going to get 2 of one or one of the other. So we would go through and buy boxes, and then I would just, because people would say, can you get it for me? We'd get it. I'd be doing nearly daily runs to the post office with 10 send every day. And then end up getting contacted by Chris Jordan at the PEZ Collector Store and a couple of other PEZ dealers. And I just put them in contact with my friend who is the distributor here in Brisbane, and he was selling directly to them. So that's how they got around to those type of people, was thanks to the good old Down Under PEZ Hunter.
That's crazy. I like that. I just recently finished my Funky Faces collection. So like I'm not too excited about the ball molds for PEZ. So that's one reason I did not ever buy those whenever I see them for sale. And usually those are more expensive. Yep. But now that I know that they were like Australian only, that's probably why the price is more. Yes. So now I'm like, okay, that maybe it's worth spending a little extra money on those, because it's not just like, you know, like $1 or $2 or whatever, like PEZ International.
Like I said, if I can find some, because they do pop up occasionally on Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree, which is like your Craigslist equivalent over here.
Oh, okay.
If they pop up, I will see what I can do.
Okay, yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. That's awesome. If there's ever any PEZ you need from here, let me know too, because
you don't want to open that can of worms.
Stuff overseas.
Don't open that can of worms.
If Terrence can't get you something, ask me. Because you've been very nice at, you know, you sent a whole box of PEZ to me. I didn't even know you, so.
There you go. Well, I thought if you're on YouTube, you're not going to be a scammer. So I can just write a bad comment. Give you the thumbs down.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Nah, all good. Happy to help out.
Well, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you soon for another video. And thanks, Greg, for joining me today. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much, Erin.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. We talked about recording a video. It's great. And if you haven't, make sure you go check out the Get Dispensed Podcast. And thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
I write to you in poetry with words left on the shelf. Full of dust, you'll know it's me, and from nobody.